the leadership for innovative business today, it is for starting up of new ventures, adding new products, developing new products, handling competitors, and along with that, mergers and acquisition type of decisions have become inevitable these days. We have to make decisions for introducing new things in all aspects of business that calls for change management. So that the present day business managers are entitled or obligated rather to make all these important decisions that calls for awareness about the happening around them. That happening can be across the globe. Therefore, unless we know the geopolitical trends, we cannot understand how to make decisions. Decisions are to be made in the light of complications, challenges, crises, and confusions. Today, there is a real confusion before policymakers because of the happenings in the geopolitical scenario. I have summarized some of the most important things for business people which is relevant. The global situation is changing very rapidly for business because the one-time friends have become enemies and vice versa. As a result of that, nobody can predict what's happening in the business scenario. That is the first thing. The second one is, for the first time in post-Second World War history, the US and Europe seem to be on a collusion course. That means they were one-time enemies. Now they have become collaborators. The US has broken rank with Europe on the Russia-Ukraine war and is dealing directly with Putin, pursuing Ukraine to do a deal with Putin. It has for the moment stopped a military aid to Ukraine and has refused to give security guarantees. See, what the US is playing as the powerful agency, not neutral agency, powerful agency, is trying to take advantage of the situation by dealing with Russia, Ukraine, and on the one side Israel, things like that. This is the situation that will definitely make an impact on the business decisions of the domestic business of many countries. No country is absolutely independent today. Most of the countries, about 99% of the countries, are interconnected. What happens in one country will invariably affect. Therefore, what happens between Russia and Ukraine, what happens between Iran and Israel, and what benefit that US would like to take because of this will make an impact. Trump's policies have raised doubts among allies and friends about his reliability. Even India is thinking twice whether to believe what Trump says or not, because very frequently the president is changing his tone. Trump has stopped most developmental and arms aid. This will have widespread impact on many developing countries and all US strategic partners alike. Those who are US strategic partners, they are at the dark. Many people don't know what to do. Trump has little regard for multilateral institutions, say for instance, the UNO, WTO, that type of neutral agencies, and their guidelines are not followed by the big brother. That is another problem that the world is facing. The US is weaponizing trade and technology, and in its foreign policies, it seeks to retain and further its global primacy in trade and technology. Economic coercion is becoming increasingly common. This is what I wanted to communicate in brief. Economic coercion. Economic coercion means threatening the buyers, threatening the partners, threatening the fellow colleagues to get an economic benefit is called economic coercion. For the purpose of doing business, the politics is being used, the weapon power is being used at the international level. This is what happening as a power game in the world today, everybody is at confusion. Nobody knows who is the friendly country to US, who is the enemy, because ultimately the president has openly announced it is for business reasons. I stopped the war between these two countries. Let it be between Ukraine and Russia, Iran and Israel, and even India and Pakistan. Business reason is quoting. So that business has become so powerful today and it can influence the political scenario. I have a survey report recently published in the leading newspaper. Say, for instance, how does the political situation affects your business? A question was asked to CEOs. Most of the CEOs have answered like this. Which the most prominent risk for the business operations because of the geopolitical scenario? 44% of the CEOs have answered that intensified global trade wars have influenced their business decisions. Global trade war. Global trade war is happening in the form of restricting the product, tariff policies, and discouraging the licensing and the permission to deal with the exporters and importers. That is affecting about 44% of the global business. This is what the opinion of the 44% of the CEOs interviewed. And about 30% of the CEOs answered that it affects through foreign cyber attack. Political situation will result in different types of attacks. It can be a terrorist attack, it can be cyber attacks. Businesses are affected by cyber attack to the extent of 30%. 30% of the top company CEOs are of the opinion that cyber attacks influence their business decision. And about 21% of them have said greater risk of conflict in Asia Pacific countries. You can understand Asia Pacific countries, conflict is the biggest threat. Say, for instance, war between Ukraine and Russia, China and India, disagreement. Though there is no war, the Cold War happening, and war between India and Pakistan has an impact on the business. That is about 21%. War in Middle East disturbs the business by 21%. And intensification of tension in the Taiwan Strait influences about 17%. War in Ukraine has intensified 17%. Foreign investment restrictions by the US policies about 16.4%. Terrorism has affected business across the globe. That is what the opinion of 9.8% of the CEOs who are interviewed. Globally, 504 CEOs were contacted for this data collection purpose, and this is what they reply. Growing risk of nuclear confrontation. The world itself is in fear. Wherever we hear the big sound, people may think it can be a bomb. The nuclear bomb has become so common threat these days. Every country take it as a weapon to create fear in the minds of their opponents. That ultimately aims at gaining some economic favors, not only political favors, and even political favor for the sake of using the natural resources, let it be in the form of minerals or the gas or the petrochemical reservoirs. This is what the political situation now. The trade war and the tariffs are impacting the growth of business. The global economy entered in 2025 with a strong momentum, but is now slowing down due to increased protectionism and trade restriction. You can follow me. What does it mean? Trade protectionism and trade restrictions. That has reduced the level of business today across the globe. Followed by this, the US-China tariff escalations could reduce US GDP growth by 0.6% within 2025 and shrink the economy by 3 to 4%. This is what another prediction. If the US economy itself is affected, that will be reflected in the earnings and spendings of many companies across the globe. And the OECD lowered the global GDP from 31 to 3.1% in 25 to 3% in 26. This is a prediction. The oil and natural gas, the total usage, consumption, and the outcomes are predicted to be reduced. And the markets will become highly volatile, and the currency fluctuations are going to be very normal. US dollar lost its gains made since 2024 November due to the trade deficit happened because of the uncertain policies. European bond yields surged as Germany and others increased military spending. Even India is also spending more on military expenditures, and we justify that because of the external and the border threat for our activities. Equity markets worldwide have been volatile, reflecting fears of slowing down or losing the market. If this is the situation, what is this geopolitics? We need to capture it precisely. Politics is everywhere. Nobody can say no to politics. Man is a political animal. Man is both a political and economic animal, no doubt, because he's a social animal. The moment you think of social and civilized living, politics will emerge. There is no to politics. Geopolitics is all about the balance of power. International politics can never be static. A new geopolitical environment based on a new balance of power is shaping up. The world is once again becoming fragmented and protectionist. Fragmented into their own circles, their own likes and dislikes are evident through the gatherings that they are making, and the BRICS and the other nations, NATO and the other alignments have their own ideologies, and accordingly they are going to influence the business across the globe. The underlying principle of the old world order, namely democracy, free market, and the rule of the law, are challenged today. These are the things that we need to debate a lot. Democracy, free market, and the rule of the law are a threat. Indirectly, they are all they are experiencing a sort of threat. You must be knowing, even in US, the US government has declared sanction for the universities not to indulge in general rules and regulations in the admissions for their courses. The Harvard Business School, Oxford Business School are also under scanner for having international students and international representatives, and their grants for academic purposes are also reduced. That will make an indirect impact on the business everywhere, education everywhere, job opportunity. Therefore, the global business overall by the year 24-25, international landscape is characterized by slowdown in the global growth, trade growth, a complex interplay of factors influencing trade flows, the potential for further disruptions due to trade policy uncertainties. India, being a mixed economy, is presenting mixed performance with both opportunities and the challenges in the global trade arena. Given this situation, we need to understand the economic implications of this global politics. I have not elaborated too much on those issues because our concern is to prepare our students to emerge as the policymakers, strategy formulators, and the leaders of the future. Unless we understand the economic implications, we cannot plan further. Economically, escalating the trade measures and prolonged trade policies leads to uncertainty. Everything will become uncertain. Financial markets will become volatile and corrections need to be done. Social discontent. You can understand what is social discontent. Strikes, lockouts, geraws, unrest will happen in every society. Rising long-term interest rate of interest will rise. What will happen to the economy when the rate of interest rises on permanent basis, that you need to understand. Increasing challenges to international cooperation. Becoming international collaborators has become a threat today because nobody believes whether it is going to be only a business arrangement or a political intervention indirectly. And that leads to labor supply gaps. Labor supply gaps will also emerge because of this economic implication. Labor supply gaps means the qualified skilled laborers may not be available for all the industry. As a result of that, either the industries will face shortage of manpower to produce, or the price of the manpower will increase. That leads to rise in prices, reduction in demand, and naturally unemployment, and that leads to economic depressions. Followed by that, I have a list of geopolitical risks that need to be addressed by the future managers. Global trade protectionism is a risk. The Middle East regional war that will lead to problems in this region. US-China strategic competition will put other countries into difficulty. Global technology decoupling makes R&D expensive, and the business will continuously face threat from the foreign players. Cyber attacks leads to disastrous happenings. Major terror attacks we are experiencing leads to instability in the economy and social order. Russia's NATO conflict will also affect the business. Emerging markets are politicized. That will create further crisis. North Korea conflict, which is still unsolved, that will also lead to European fragmentation. Groups will emerge. All these groups will run into short-term, short-sighted strategies and policies that will affect the business. Given this situation, when we are teaching management, when we are teaching business-related subjects to prepare the future leaders, what are the things that we expect from our students? How to make the students to become practically logical?
Yes, sir.
In between, because of the network problem, it was disconnected. Okay. So that now the resilient strategies to handle this geopolitical crisis are reimagine and transform the business. Reimagination and strategy. Now the question is before you, how to reimagine and how can we transform? Transformation is change management. We cannot think of only short-sighted business operations. At the top level of the hierarchy, need to think as the transformers. We need to set proper vision and mission for our business, and in the light of the changing technology, changing political situation, our students in the sense, they are going to be the future managers. Believe me, when you talk to your students with these eye-sounding words, they may think these are irrelevant things for them. They may think it is of no use for them for the examination. But if they are really management and commerce students, in the future course of action, when they are supposed to make policies and decisions, they have to think like leaders. Resilient business leaders are those, many a time when there is a crisis, they have to reimagine and transform the situation, and that is what calls for revolutionary thinking, changing mindset. I am of the opinion that a true leader is one who is not comfortable with the status quo, who always try to bring something new. In the process of bringing something new, you have to face competition, confusions, comments, criticism, etc. But you need to be bold. That's the reason it is said there are no underdeveloped countries, only undermanaged countries. For a country to progress, we need leaders who are resilient, and I and you are in the process of making leaders. Address customers' anxiety. Customers are ultimately the custodians of any business. Today, the happenings around us make us to temporarily disturb the customers. Retaining the customers' loyalty towards the business that we are doing is a big challenge. That must be done by the future manager. Rethink workplace relationships. Rethinking workplace relationship. This is another order of the day. Believe me, in one word, I can tell you what is this. I'm saying rethink the workplace relations. What to rethink? Can you elaborate? Can anybody help me to elaborate? What to rethink about the workplace relationship? Now, the working place has changed a lot. It is not the same as it was prior to COVID-19. Prior to COVID-19, work from home was a very strange concept. Later on, it has become the new normal. And now, a blend, hybrid mode. People are working in the hybrid mode. What happened to the relationship between the employee and the employer, employee and the job, employer and the employer? What had happened here? That need to be rethought of, redesigned. I think I'm reaching you. Am I reaching? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Unless you say so, it is difficult to teach. This is the workplace relations. For a teacher, all the time when we talk to audience, we look at their faces, facial eye movements and things like that to get the motivation. But now we are supposed to talk to the screen. On the screen, your reactions will make me to believe whether I am on the right track or not. As such, in the working place, when the work advantages, and what happens to the relationship, loyalty part of it, trust part of it, secrecy, confidence. These are the things at stake today that will affect the business. As you become important in the organization, as you grow on the ladder, you need to think about all these issues. Enhance the people potential. For any organization, whatever the technology that is developed, ultimately people are the most important asset. We must concentrate on developing people-related organization. People must be given priority, but it is a contradiction. On the one side, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotic technology and other things, Internet of Things, they are changing our approach. They are making us to believe that technology is important. But in reality, technology cannot replace the human mind. Artificial intelligence is artificial only. It cannot become natural. The war is between natural stupidity and artificial intelligence. Sometimes we need to be naturally stupid. When we believe that I don't know something, we think of doing something different. We take the precaution to protect ourselves when we think we don't know. Therefore, enhance the people potential, train people, give them the latest technology, concentrate on skill building. Again, believe me, the moment people say skill building, development of technology, etc., that will come back to teachers only. Teachers only have to address these issues. Learn from the past mistakes that we have committed in preparing the leaders. What are the mistakes that have happened? While starting my lecture only, I made a mention that most of the time we concentrated more on preparing the graduates. Just graduates without the requisite skill and the talent, skill, knowledge and attitude are of waste. There must be complementary knowledge and skill development in the among the youngsters that will only take them to reach the targets. But if you continue with the same tendency, if you continue with the same old fashion of teaching, that will make us to prepare only the graduates and not the workable executives. Forecast the future. You need to forecast as to what will happen shortly. What will happen to teaching with the advent of artificial intelligence? What will happen to managers and decision making with the advent of artificial intelligence? What will happen to unions because of this technology? Bargaining power because of this technology? That we need to think. Accept the reality where you cannot change it. Change management is one of the most important things, that when you cannot change it, accept the reality and get adopted to that. That is what the spirit of managing business today. Believe me, this management tool that we are developing is concerned with handling the crisis that is related to the Industrial Revolution 4.0. 4.0 is already in the middle part. The world is preparing for 5.0. Unless we know the requirements of the 4.0 industrial revolution and need of management education to match with that expectations, we will be nowhere. The industrial revolution 4.0 has gave us the caution that we are experiencing lack of skilled workforce, aging society who are ready to retire, and at the same time, resources, efficient and clean urban production is what expected. Once again, mass customization and low volume of high mixture of factories is required. Increasing product variability is expected. Shorter product life cycle is the order of the day, and dynamic value chain networks are developed, and more than anything, volatile markets and high expectation with regard to cost reduction process. High expectations with related to cost reduction. This is what expected from management in the light of this Industrial Revolution 4.0. Are we preparing the policy makers, decision makers to meet this requirement? That is what the challenge. How to address these issues? Say for instance, here we need to prepare our youngsters with the knowledge of organizing the industrial structure in a different way in the light of the expectations of Industrial Revolution 4.0. It calls for restructuring the organization, reorient the knowledge, and change our attitude towards the practices related to human resources, and willingness to abandon the waste and knowledge, abandon investment and knowledge where it is not relevant. Abandoning knowledge and investment, sometimes when you got to know that it is not necessary to continue with that, go for a closer. Stop what is not relevant. Stop what is not giving back. Don't continue only because that of its historical significance. What was historically significant may not be useful in the future. That calls for immediate, revolutionary, innovative thinking among the business executives. So that to make our youngsters global leaders, what is to be done? How to prepare them? Frankly speaking, unless these things are included in the syllabus, teachers will not teach. But when we make the syllabi, we must keep in mind, directly or indirectly, the emphasis must be on these issues. Our objective of teaching management and commerce courses is to prepare global leaders. How to prepare global leaders? Global leaders are those at the first instance, who have the updated social awareness. Needless to say, what is social awareness? Social awareness means making the people to understand the present structure of the society, present form of expectations, and the type of people and their reactions to new things. You can deliberate on the social awareness at length, but I am not doing because I have some more things to present before you. We have to prepare leaders who can get adapted to situation, adaptability to situation, flexibility, rising to the occasion, being capable of putting themselves into hardships. Basically, our present generation of students, they are not exposed to this. Forget about global business. In life, they are not exposed to getting raised to the occasion and working in adversities. I think I am reaching you. Making students to work in adversities is one of the expectations of today for all courses that we are teaching, not only commerce and management. Followed by that, critical thinkers. We need to encourage students to think critically. Say, for instance, for a while they can think, I have been talking, today global business is inevitable, global politics affects everybody. Don't accept the things as it is narrated by somebody. Make an analytical content. Say, for instance, today, despite of so much of global political pressures, India continued to be on the developing path because of its uniqueness. India is not 100% dependent on the external pressures or the external political reasons, because life in India is unique, absolutely different. When the entire world is affected because of the global bubble burst, India sustained it. Even now, the war between the different countries in Europe and the policy changes, tariff war declared by America, has not affected India as it affects other countries because of the India's backbone, that is agriculture, agricultural output, and the family lifestyle, living pattern, saving pattern, banking system, insurance system, etc. Therefore, what I want to suggest through this is make our students to think critically. Let them not accept whatever we are telling. Let them look at it from other dimensions, different perspective. Followed by that, ultimately, we have to make them effective decision makers. Stress management is nothing but decision making. The type of decisions that our students make, our managers make, will determine the fate. How to make effective decisions? That should come from childhood. That should come from studenthood. We must make them to exercise decision making through out of the box approach. Don't go always on the beaten track. Get into the woods. Think differently. Think alternatively. Think of substitutes. Then you will try to get something new before you. Able to guide. They are going to be the future leaders, and now we are guiding them. We must take it as a pride that we have the opportunity to guide them. But our future leaders must also take the responsibility for guiding others and solving the problems that the future generations are going to experience. For this, again, the new strategies for crisis management, enterprise agility, cost management, workforce management, innovation in everything. This is what expected of in future. To make this to happen, what type of decisions that they need to take? The type of decisions that they need to take is, at the first instance, workforce well-being is the most prominent priority. make our students to love the manpower, care for the world, love themselves first. Workforce well-being, physical and emotional will become increasingly paramount importance. So that from the beginning, we must tell them whatever the technology that changes, whatever the political policies that changes, think of the good of your workers. Keep them in good humor, keep them in good standard, train them properly, motivate them properly, and wherever it is important, control them properly. Remote work will become the rule of the many jobs, not the expectation. There is no exception. There is no exception. The future is going to be a remote working environment or virtual workforce. Firms will compete for customer based on quality of remote worker support. Our customer loyalty depends on a remote worker whom we have not seen. Unless the person working from a distance develop loyalty to us and influence the customer, we will not going to have future business comfortable for us. Agile teams will operate in many geographies, rarely in the same room. Rarely. Teams working in the same room, same office is going to be very remote, as I and you are sitting in different places, listening to the same lecture, though you are all doing something different along with listening. That is going to be the future. Tracking products delivered to homes will become urgent. Digital business models will become the only viable models in many sectors in future. New leadership skills will be required to run increasingly virtual global companies. We are all going to be global. However small you are, global business is going to be the order of the day. For that day, we need to prepare ourselves as educationists. We need to prepare our students as future players. So that what is the future of this management education, commerce education, things like that? Expansion of online and hybrid learning formats have become very common. I'm not going to elaborate too much. Online courses, online programs, online learning systems will become very prominent. If you cannot learn inside the class, at least make use of this and learn what is needed. Otherwise, you will be nowhere. Incorporation of artificial intelligence into business education becomes inevitable. We cannot say no. Already it is in. You cannot think of marketing today. Everything has been taken by artificial intelligence. All financial decisions, artificial intelligence can do. Networking, artificial intelligence can do. Machine learning makes you to forget all the theories that you have developed over human behavior. Therefore, incorporation of artificial intelligence into business education has become prominent. Shift towards experiential learning. Experiential learning means more than talking. Give them exercises, make them to go out, let them learn by doing, by having hands-on experience. Increase the emphasis on soft skill development. It becomes inevitable. If it is possible, make our future managers to learn more than one language. Don't confine them to learn a single language. But it is unfortunate, many of our students ask for writing in local language. I'm not against any mother tongue or local language, but it becomes inevitable these days to acquire strength in terms of linguistic power. As many languages as possible, our youngsters must be encouraged to learn. So that only Kannada, English will not be sufficient. Along with that, let them acquire some prominent foreign languages so that they can reach out to global business. Growing importance of environmental, social, and governance factors. Yes, environmental friendly strategies are to be made. We need to educate our children, our graduates, to think in favor of protecting the environment, protecting the nature. Eco-friendly strategies are to be made and increase micro learning. Micro-learning means don't expect all the time to go for mass feeding of the information. It should be tailor-made and it is micro-led. That means your requirements may not be the same as other members in the group. You have to learn. Say for instance, if you don't know the language, don't think that it is the end of the journey. Go and learn it wherever it is available. If you don't know something small, don't neglect it, learn it. Micro-learning will become the order of the day. Use of virtual and augmented reality will become the order. Commerce and management teachers, I know, including myself, most of us are not familiar with the softwares and the technology, but there is no excuse for us. We have to equip ourselves. We have to learn it. Unless we learn, we cannot expect our students to learn, and we cannot expect the future managers to be competent to handle the future crisis. So that there is a continued focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion in business education. So that the business education that we are giving, I am very practical. Business education includes, I have given a list of the courses, not only commerce or management, whether you want to become a good marketing person, finance person, HR person, you need to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion in your thinking. This can happen only when we believe and we deliver the things in the way that makes our graduates truly graduates of commerce and management. What do you expect from a commerce and management graduate? That was highlighted in our NEP 2020 as graduate attributes for different courses. It is a generic statement about the graduation expectation. For commerce graduates, what do we look for? A deep knowledge of subject in the program that they are successfully completed, the capacity to engage in self-reflection and lifelong learning, transferable skills suitable for employment, the capability to make up social and civic responsibilities relating to the environment and the society, a deep understanding of and respect for diversity, pluralistic society and other cultures, adherence to high standards of ethical behavior. What expected from any graduate, and more so from the commerce and management graduates. And we must commit ourselves, dedicate ourselves to do this in the light of all the happenings in front of us. To make it to happen, we must also remember what type of students are sitting in front of us, what type of raw material has been given to us to make the finished product. That is what a comment about the new generation of students. Just to break the monotony, if I ask you a question, just to break the monotony, I'm telling, if I ask you a question to comment on your understanding of the present generation of students in one sentence, how will you describe? Excuse me, take it as a question to you. Take it as a question. If I ask you to describe your understanding of the present generation of students, how do you describe in one or two sentences? Because you can make the finished products only with the given material. I am talking about global business, geopolitics, preparing managers for the future. But the type of students that you are getting, are they really capable? Are the material for that?
Sir.
What is our role there?
Yes,
if we
sir.
can develop on that, that is the justification that we can give